When it comes to the video game industry, it seems like one of the biggest industry trends these days is remaking games. From 2016 through all the currently revealed remakes releasing this year, in 2026, there are 90 releases that I have counted on the list of video game remakes and remasters Wikipedia page, and undoubtedly there are more. Because this trend will only continue in the coming years, and since I have played a decent amount of them, I thought I would make a video explaining some of my personal issues with a lot of remakes. When it comes to remakes, with as much as certain things that will be talked about later can bother me, I can let quite a bit slide as long as the original game is preserved and kept widely available. The issue is, with a lot of publishers, the original is not always available, and in the circumstance that it is, the original game, or any available remaster, is often taken off all storefronts or effectively delisted by not bringing it over to the next generations. Yakuza 1 and 2 were remastered in 2012 for PS3 and Wii U of all things, and from what I can tell they're really solid remasters of the games. Unfortunately, Yakuza 1 and 2 HD edition was only ever released in Japan and were entirely replaced by the Kiwami remakes both in Japan and worldwide. A similar thing happened to Yakuza 3 when its remake Yakuza Kiwami 3 released last year. The remastered version was delisted on all stores aside from GOG and only otherwise available through limited physical copies or by buying an expensive collection. It's not at all uncommon for remakes to change or outright remove parts of the original game. When the original is still widely available, I care much less about this, but it can still affect how the story is told depending on what's changed. I'm a massive Half-Life fan. The opening of the game is a slow trend ride that, while certainly a tech spectacle, helps to set up the horror of the early game when followed by about another 3 to 5 minutes of boring busywork. A deep reminder of just how far from the surface, and thus safety, you are for when everything goes to shit about 10 minutes after you get off. If Black Mesa had cut out or shortened the opening in any way, like they do throughout the final chapters of the game, it inherently changes the experience of the first half of the game where you are fighting through hell to get back to the surface. If the opening wasn't so long, and admittedly boring, it would be a massive negative to the atmosphere of the game regardless of Half-Life still being insanely available. Oftentimes in remakes, the new developers make changes to the general direction of the games that just aren't all that good. Whether it be chasing photorealism where the original was heavily stylized, making environmental changes that negatively affect lore or atmosphere, or even just changing the color grading of the game to something that goes against what the original was trying to do, or something else like the soundtrack being changed. It almost certainly will not affect new players who the remakes are almost certainly marketed towards. But for pre-existing fans, especially those who have a deep knowledge of the original, it can be extremely jarring and potentially a line that they aren't willing to cross with their wallet. But ultimately, my biggest issue with the trend is remakes being used as lazy cash grabs or being used as a way to see if the series is still worthy of being supported. Some of the biggest examples I can think of from recently are everything Megapixel has put out, Star Fox, Rayman Legends Retold, System Shock, the Mana remakes, and Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. Where for Megapixel, Adventures of Mana, Secret of Mana, and Sands of Time, the remakes are of low quality. And for Star Fox, Rayman, System Shock, Trials of Mana, and again Sands of Time, the entire series is seemingly riding on the success of the remakes. If the entire IP is riding on the success of a single game, why would you attempt to go all out on a goddamn remake which will almost certainly be expensive to produce instead of just making a new original game that will be cheaper and have a better chance of succeeding since it's not a game that people own upwards of 4 fucking times? Down in the comments let me know about some of your personal issues with remakes or if you disagree with what I have said. I'll see you in the next video.